Okay, class, this is example 3. We're supposed to find the sine of u plus v. Okay, this is when the problems start getting a little bit more difficult for a lot of students. Okay, so the sine of u plus v, looking at page 398, that means we're going to use sine of u, cosine of v, plus cosine of u, sine of v, because that's the formula for sine of u plus v. Okay, it's the first formula under the sum and difference formulas on page 398. Okay, so we need to figure out what the sine of u is, what the cosine of v is, what the cosine of u is, and what the sine of v is. Typically when you do these problems, two of them are going to be given to you. In our case, we're given that the sine of u is 4/5 and that the cosine of v is negative 12/13. So we're given these two things. So how do we find cosine of u and sine of v? Okay, well, to find cosine of u, we're going to use sine of u and make a triangle. Okay, to find cosine or sine of v, we're going to use cosine of v and make a triangle. So let me show you what I'm talking about. First, we're going to make a triangle using sine of u. Okay, it says sine of u, I'll go down here a little bit, sine of u, okay, is 4/5. So that means I have a triangle in one of these four quadrants that has an opposite side of 4, okay, an opposite side of 4, and a hypotenuse of 5, or a y value of 4, and a radius of 5, because that's what sine is. Sine is y over r. So we know it's positive, so automatically I know it has to be in 1 or 2, but if it's in 1, we're going to have a positive cosine, because the x would be positive in 1. If it's in 2, we're going to have a negative cosine, because our x will be negative. So we need to use the other piece of information behind sine of 4/5, and that is sine of u equals 4/5, and then right behind that it says 0 is less than u is less than pi over 2. Well, what does that mean? What that means is our angle is bigger than 0 degrees and less than pi over 2, or 90 degrees. Okay, well, which quadrant is bigger than 0 degrees and less than pi over 2. Okay, hopefully that made sense to you. We knew it was either 1 or 2, but now we know it has to be between these two angles, so it must be an angle in quadrant 1. Okay, so now we can draw our triangle. We know it has to be here and going down. Okay, because remember we always draw our line back to the x-axis. Our opposite side is 4. The hypotenuse is 5. Pythagorean's theorem says that the other side is going to be 3, because 5 squared is 25, minus 4 squared is 16, 25 minus 16 is 9, so our other side is 3. So this is my u angle, okay, right? This was the u angle, so that means cosine of u is going to equal 3/5, right? Cosine is x over r, cosine equals 3/5. So now I could substitute in 3/5 wherever I see cosine. So I'm going to put it right here. Okay, and now we have to do the same thing to find sine of v. We have to make a triangle using cosine of v. Okay, so I'll erase some of this stuff down here, and we'll make another triangle. Okay, so what is cosine of v? Is negative 12/13. Okay, so already we should know that it's in one of two quadrants. Since cosine is negative, that means my x over r is negative. It has to be in either the third quadrant or the fourth quadrant. So now I'm going to look at the second piece of information, which says for cosine of v, this is example 3 still, it says pi over 2 is less than angle V. Okay, it's less than angle V, and that's less than pi. Well, pi over 2 is 90, so right here, and then pi is right here. So our angle has to be between here and here. So that means we have to be in quadrant 3. So I'm going to draw my triangle. I'm going to put in the values I know. I know x is negative 12, and I know the hypotenuse is 13. Pythagorean's theorem, 13 squared minus 12 squared is 25. The square root of 25 is 5. So now I know the sine of angle V, because this would be angle V now. Okay, because cosine was negative 12 over 13. Sine of this angle would be 5 over 13. So where I have sine of V in my formula, I can substitute in 5/13. Okay, put that right here. All right, and now to get my answer, I just need to simplify these two fractions. Okay, remember when we have a fraction, we're multiplying. We multiply the top numbers. 4 times negative 12 is negative 48. 5 times 13, I believe off the top of my head, it's 65. Yep. Plus 3 times 5, which is 15, over 65. Okay, so my answer will be over 65 unless I need to reduce it. And I take negative 48 plus 15, so negative 33/65. So where did we start? We started with having to find the sine of u plus v. We got to this formula. We were told that the sine of u is 4/5. The cosine of v is negative 12/13. Okay, from there we used two triangles to find the cosine of u and the sine of v. And when we did all of our work, substituted in what we knew and what we found, we got an answer of negative 33/65. Okay, hope this helps.